Okay, hello, good evening, everyone. We are starting our board meeting. I am Executive Director. It's October 8th, 2024. We are going to commence the meeting at 6:04 p.m. We'll do a roll call. Steve Longo, Board President. I am here. Nicole Hurt, Vice President. Secretary Patty is here. Treasurer Anna is here this evening. Jamie is here as well. And Christian is here as well. So all board members present and accounted for. I will show the agenda and we will approve the agenda. Can we get co-hosting privileges? Can I get co-hosting privileges so I can share the agenda? All right, the treasurer's report is on the screen. This is not, yeah, okay. All right, are we able to see the agenda? Everyone able to see the agenda on my screen? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go back. All right, and a motion to approve the agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Okay, Jamie, I move that we approve the agenda. And Steve is saying thank you for that motion. Any dissension? Nicole, you are recognized. You have the floor. From Nicole is saying, from what I can see, I believe we need to add we need to amend the agenda.
We need to vote on the amendment to the bylaws.
And Steve Long is saying we will address that during new business. And we will make sure that that is addressed during the new business portion. So if there's no dissent to the agenda, the motion to approve the agenda is passed. All right, I got two things that I'm looking at, so I'm trying to navigate that. And I will show the minutes from the May meeting. Patty, do you have those minutes from the meeting that we had in May? Patty's going to check and see. Patty, can you show, Patty is looking for those minutes. Appreciate your patience. All right. Patty is provided a link in the chat that if you click on it, you are able to access those minutes to review them. Steve Long is saying that I need permission to access the document. And Patty is saying that you need to use your DHHSC president email. Steve Long was saying, so can you just provide a brief summary of the minutes? Um, okay, Patty's saying we used a transcription from the meeting, and that service helped me as the secretary tremendously. So it's very easy to make the necessary adjustments with the transcription that we had. The board minutes do move very rapidly, and as I am reading, I am able to make the adjustments, and so that was very helpful. And we have posted those minutes, and we share our October report. Is there more that I need to say? And Steve Long is saying, no, the board has been able to review the minutes from the previous meeting. Nicole has a comment or question. Nicole's getting clarification. You mentioned May minutes, but Patty mentioned October. Yeah, Steve's saying we're gonna have to fix that. So Nicole's getting clarification. So is it the May minutes and Patty's talking about October minutes, or I'm confused. I'm unclear about which set of minutes you're referring to. And Steve is saying the May minutes, and Patty's is correcting that yes, it is the May minutes, not the October minutes. And Steve, yeah. Okay. So Nicole, you got that clarification? Okay. Okay. So just a brief summary of the May minutes. We need so we've had that summary of the May minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as read. Everyone has been able to review them. And Steve Longo says, yes, we have already reviewed them. And so we need an official motion to accept the minutes into the record. And Nicole is saying, I move that we accept the minutes into the May minutes into the record. Any dissension? No dissension? Okay, the May minutes are accepted into the minutes as read. Moving on. We will start with my president's report. Just a simple report, one page. I'm a one-page person as a rule. I want to show about 15 seconds, maybe 20, and then I'll talk. Or would you rather, or I'll go ahead and explain, or would you rather me just go ahead Would you like time to view my report or just go ahead and sign it? Okay, I'll just provide a summary of that. We're in fall now, and it feels, even though it doesn't feel like fall because the weather is still very warm. Summer doesn't want to leave us, I guess. We had the 40th gala for DHHSC, that event in Madeira. We had a good turnout. There were many new and old faces that we were able to meet. It was a really wonderful time. Some things were a hit, some things were a miss. We will put that in our cap for to know how to do for the next event. One of the hits was the area because it was hot outside. The AC was wonderful. The seating provided good vantage points for visual communication. We were able to do that. Had good, clear vantage points the whole way. The program itself went wonderfully. Some areas we can improve for next time. It was difficult to see this, what was on the screen, what was on the projector, on the wall. That wasn't very clear. That was a little bit challenging to see. Most of the people did mention that it was difficult to see. So for the next time, we'll have to remember that. The stage was very far away and the lighting was not sufficient for what we needed, especially for those who were sitting in the back. It was a really challenge. The stage itself was very small, smaller than we expected it to be. All the board couldn't even get on the stage when we tried to invite them all up. We couldn't invite them all. We just could have about 3 individuals when we were providing the awards. We couldn't have all the board members on stage to honor and thank Michelle for her 25 years of service at DHHSC. The painting by Harry Williams to Gallaudet. That painting was really nice. And that was the gift we gave to Michelle in appreciation. It was a surprise. She did not know about it. So yes, it was a surprise to her. But it was a really great time. All right. We have cleaned up the grievance process form regarding the board, and we encourage you to revise that and vote to approve that. That will be posted on the website for anyone to utilize who needs it. The bylaws we received back from the lawyer. It's been like a year-long process, over a year that we've been working on this and going back and forth. We have two things. They're very similar, but we'll be talking about them. The board's training. Mark did train us and said that we needed to have one aspect in the bylaws regarding extension of time or holding time. And Michelle did vote. We talked to Michelle about that. And we will make sure that those two motions are clear. We want to vote to recognize those aspects of the bylaws. They have already been passed. We do need 4 motions tonight regarding the business that we're going to discuss. Want to make sure that we get the business done that we need done. And those motions will be discussed in new business. So we will be discussing those a little bit later in the agenda. We're still working on the we're still talking about the duties and policies of various board members. We're still providing training and explanation of that. Many board members were not clear exactly on what the duties of board members were. And then when we had turnover, it was a little bit of a struggle. So our goal is to provide information to new board members so that turnover is not such a challenge for us. Last but not least, VDF, Valley Deaf Festival, is approaching. Time is going by quickly. It's coming next month. Are we ready? Are we working? We've been planning, we've been preparing, right? Everyone has. We've been doing a lot of preparation. Michelle is going to talk a little bit more about VDF, the change of venue. We've had a few changes, some change in venue and various things, but we want to make it as successful as possible. So if you all have any suggestions, any concerns, please contact the board at dhhsc.org and that email address. We have an email address that you can utilize to provide concerns or suggestions for community members.
Nicole, do you want to, are you ready to share your report? Nicole says, yes, I'm ready and hands are up, but hold just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and put my report up and I'll sign at the same time. Steve says, that's good, that's fine. Okay, here's my report. It's amazing that it's already October and there are only 2 years before the end of 2024. I hope the weather gets cool soon. It's been so hot and I'm over it. So first of all, my position as vice president ended, my first term ended a month ago. I've been here 2 years as of September, past September, and I can stay on for a second term, and you'll all have to make that decision via a vote. Being on the board, it has helped me gain skills and benefited me in so many ways. I've learned so many things. And I've enjoyed very much working with you as your vice president. I would like to continue if you choose to select me as your vice president for the next 2 years. I would be very happy to continue. Also, regarding my membership lapse, that does not end. You can vote me in for a second term, because I'm still a member of the board. That is still extant. So I am a member of the board of DHHSC. We've been working to be certain that the entire, that we're clear about the entire board's terms and that that information is accurate. I have a chart from when I was the temporary secretary, and then Sal and some other people had different information, and Patty worked very hard on researching all the way back through the history and making sure that our entire chart was accurate. And I'll share that with you. And we hope to use that schedule going forward. So I want to thank Patty for her hard work. I want to thank her very, very much. The schedule of terms for all of the members of the board is very important for grant applications. Anyone that we're applying to for money needs to be able to see who the board members are, their terms, and all of that, so that they can look that over and see that we're legit. We were trying to make sure that even the tiniest of errors are repaired so that we can send it out without fearing that it is inaccurate. Now, the town hall meeting that we had recently was just great. There was good turnout. We got a lot of good feedback. We received that feedback well. What I've noticed and am hoping to use for the future is the town hall meeting and DHHSC, at the town hall meeting, the board members did a lot of talking. DHHSC did a lot of talking. But I think it would be very, very good to have the community members more involved. 70% of the time, the board was talking, while 30% of the time, the community members were talking. And I wanted to ask if we could switch that to 70% of the time being community members sharing and 30% of the time board sharing. That way we can sit back and learn from their points and make it their time. Make it more about what they have to say, what they want, the focus being on the community rather than us. That's my recommendation for next year. And the reason that I say that is I want to empower the community to give us more feedback because we serve the community. So we want to really, really pay attention to what they have to say. We have an event coming very soon, the Valley Deaf Festival. And Steve mentioned that moments ago, but the time has gone so fast, I can't believe we're coming up on it again. Sammy's Tacos will be with us again. We've changed, they've modified the amount of money for DHHSC, which is very nice. And this year, do we want the board to cook ourselves with Carrie's help? I hope that process will be smooth. And I want to thank you. I'm sorry, wait a minute. Anna, I'm sorry, not Carrie. Anna has volunteered to coordinate the food and VDF and all that. Thank you so much. And we've established a committee that will focus on the food or will do that. And it seems like it's running smoothly. I'm very excited to see what Anna's plans are for this year. And we'll have a meeting in October, I think maybe the third, maybe the second or third, maybe the third week of October, and we'll get together with interpreters and the board, and we'll set up the plan to experience a genuinely smooth one. As I close my report, this is the end. This is my last report for my first term as vice president. And again, I thank the board and staff and community for allowing me to be a part of this. And if there's anything that you need from me, please let me know. Thank you very much. That is the end of my report. Steve saying, thank you very much, Nicole. And now, Patty, are you ready to do your secretary's report? And Patty is saying, yes. I'm gonna, should I show it for a minute or no, we'll just, I'll just sign. The first thing that I want to say is I did sign a short thing, summary, but Nicole reminded me of something. In Salinas, which is where I live, on the Central Coast, at our Central Coast office, this area is not highly populated. But this year was different than last year. Several people have asked me about wanting, I don't know, if there could be more involvement of public commentary during our meetings and how we can include them, how can they become included and participate. And I said, you can send a video or send a letter and they'll listen. The board will pay attention. But they said they didn't want to do that. So I'm not sure what to do. So I want to throw that out. If people want to participate, how? How would they do that? How do they establish the proper format? And in what way can those people give us the information they want to give us or communicate with us as they would like? Fresno's far from Salinas. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that there are other offices an hour or more drive away from Fresno. So let's think about how to incorporate the feedback from all the satellite offices. Would it be Zoom, live, in person? If we can, if we want community input, then let's figure out how to get them involved and support their involvement. Please let me know if you have ideas. Nicole is raising her hand and saying, I think that's a wonderful idea. Let's plan ahead of time and be ready before next year. Let's think about the possibilities and how to bring people together. Would we do it in Monterey? Or I know that's far. Monterey is far, but maybe it'd be good if we went and saw the offices there and went in and looked around, saw the different offices, the different satellite offices. That might be a great start in Salinas. I shouldn't say Monterey. I should say Monterey County in Salinas. I think we should go into Salinas, the Salinas office, and those are the furthest apart, Fresno and Monterey County. So let's see if we can pull something together and see their communication style, the community, how they sign, if it's different than Fresno. Well, then we'll see that the needs are different and what those needs are. I think it's important for the board to go and meet the community, and I support that idea very strongly. Patty's saying thank you. Patty's saying one more thing I would like to say about that. In the past, the board drove from one to the other. I don't recall how that was worked out in the past or when it happened. I'm not really sure, but thank you. So I want to tell you that we're some very exciting information. Salinas, my area here, the DHHSC office has hired a new person. Yeehaw! Finally. I've known this person for quite a long time. His name is Gabriel Sacido. He's deaf. He's a very nice guy. He's been working for a very long time with another kind of career, a different job, a different kind of job, but it is related. He's been teaching independent skills and things like that, independent living skills. And he knows how to, I don't know, teach and set things up. Gabriel hasn't, I'm trying to think of the right words. I guess I want to say Gabriel's new to DHHSC, but he's ready. He's learning quickly. I'm sure you've seen the recent events that have been happening through DHHSC. There was a picnic, a local picnic. It was very nice in Greenfield, South Monterey County. Salinas is about, I think it's 45 minutes north of Greenfield. So that was really fun. We had a good turnout and people hung out. There were over 30 people, kids, water balloons being thrown, playing. It was a lot of fun and we really enjoyed it. And I saw Gabriel. He has a name sign. It's a G going off of his forehead. But at any rate, it was lovely to see the event was so successful and it showed off DHHSC. It was wonderful. I felt so happy to have him, to have Gabriel part of DHHSC. I'm thrilled and relieved. And I want him to be happy, to be involved. And he seems happy with this job. And people are nodding and waving and applauding. And everyone's saying, great, great, great. Patty, Steve's saying Patty's report is finished. Let's move on to the treasurer's report. And so we're going to do a quick switch of interpreters now.
Yes, I would like to show the report on the screen, please. Okay. Is everyone able to see? Okay, we're going to stop the screen share at this time. This is Anna. All right. This report, as you can see, the funds that have already that are already come in this fiscal year. We do have some outstanding balances. And if you'll notice, the timeline is getting shorter as well. Previously, we had 2 or 3 years to utilize funds to get things all worked out. But now we have to get things done on a much shorter timeline. And so when things are due, June 24th, this past June 24th, we've all gotten caught up. So that's some amazing work by our staff. We've gotten all caught up. I think there might be 1 or 2 things left, but oh my goodness, Cindy has been working incredibly hard. Any questions regarding this report? Steve Longo is saying, I think it's important to recognize that the paper to digital transition on using computers and regarding finding things and placement of files and various things, we've had to do those in the past. oh my God, it was such a big job. And now that we have transitioned to digital, now that things are on computer, it's much easier as we are doing searches for things. And has reduced the workload considerably. And so we are able to catch up a little bit easier. So thank you, Cindy. Cindy's been doing a great job. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But yeah, she's done a phenomenal job. Anna's asking, are there any questions? I can talk a little bit. You have anything else to say? Anna is saying, I want to provide a little bit more information regarding VDF, what the board is responsible for, and what DHHSC, how we've been coordinating and working together. This is the third year, and we've really enjoyed it. We've really enjoyed it and had a lot of fun. We've been meeting with Carrie, with Michelle, and who else? Oh, what's the name? I don't know the name. I don't have the name of their staff members. Is it Susan? I can't remember all the people that we've been meeting with. But anyway, um, we do have another meeting scheduled regarding VDF. And the board is meeting to propose some various ideas and to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And again, things are a little bit different this year because we're not able to have it at the same place. Or Sammy's Tacos is not here. Has been taking care of the food, and now Sammy's Tacos is not able to do that. So now this year we are doing the food. So we have a little bit more preparation. We have a little bit more work to do, and we're getting the staff a little bit more involved. And once we meet, we'll have a little bit more information. So yes, we are accepting volunteers on our committee. So if you'd like to be involved with that, that would be great. Any questions for me? All right. And Steve is saying, thank you, Anna. Thank you for that report. And one moment we're going to do another switch before we go to the executive director's report.
Okay. This isn't last but not least, it's a very important report. Michelle, our executive director, is going to share her report now. And if you want to show or sign yourself, or yeah, you're going to sign. You're not going to just show the report on paper on the screen. Michelle is saying, before I start, I want to warn you that you may see the lights go off. I may have to get up and turn them on again because we have new technology that is motion sensitive. So if I sit quietly, the lights turn themselves off because I'm out of the way for the sensor. It can't pick up on me. So I have to warn you and apologize in advance if it turns off. I'll have to stand up, walk away, turn it on again. I'm not running away. I shall be back. Okay. Before I do my report, I want to thank you for the beautiful, touching, wonderful gift that I loved so much, the artwork that's on my wall in the office. If you come through and look in my office, you'll see it right away. I just love it, and I'm very touched that the board recognized my years of service. Thank you. It's really been a joy, a true joy to serve and to have your support. I really appreciate it. Okay, moving on. We finished the fiscal year 2022-2023 audit recently, and we're going to have the next one in November, about November 12th. That's when we'll start because we just got caught up. We took a break, and then we're going to start the next one. Jerry, our CPA, Jerry Boo, I'll spell that. I asked if they were able to present tonight, but they haven't gotten back to me. So maybe they'll explain two different audits about both audits. the most recent year, because that has to be public, it has to be shared during our board meeting. So when Jerry Boo is available, I'll let you know. The second thing is the California Department of Social Services surprised us with it surprised the sister agencies with a $20,000 addition to our grant, giving us our portion being 22,000. There's a formula for each of the sister agencies, and the money is going to go to the staff benefits because they're terribly expensive and they've increased recently. Eek. So we have to take care of our staff. So that's where the increase has been. The increase was 12.5%. Now, United Way of Tulare is an organization we're going to apply to. And we have completed the application that includes the standards of excellence. So be on the lookout. Please check the bylaws and terms to be sure it matches the minutes, because if it doesn't match, we'll be disqualified. That's why I said, eek, please be sure everything's caught up and recorded in the minutes, because they read them because of their standards statement, their standards requirements. So we have to match that. So we will apply. Once that's approved, the standards of excellence is approved, then we'll apply. I'll be sending you a form for the diversity statement to be sure that the board has followed that requirement. I think I've already talked about the next thing. I want you to be aware that we are very saddened because we have a lot of air conditioning for this building. One of them on the roof, we have 3, by the way, up there, but one of them was just ruined. Somebody got on the roof. I know, it's amazing. They got up and did some damage. They were trying to get the copper off and broke it in. They broke it. So you can't replace the part. So we have to replace the entire unit. So I filed a claim with the insurance company, and the cost of replacement is a horrifying $21,000. But thank goodness we have a wonderful, because we have a wonderful EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, and we have to follow their rules for air conditioning. So that means I had to apply for insurance, and they will pay for everything except the $500 deductible, which we'll pay. So that was a bummer, but the building next door, the California Teachers Association, is there, and I learned that theirs was stolen 1 or 2 years ago. That's why you notice there's more fencing and gating around the air conditioners. So on the roof, we're going to have to add fencing or a gate as well. The insurance won't pay for that. We'll pay for that because we have to protect our part. The neighborhood's apparently degenerating a bit. The staff, as Patty mentioned, Gabriel, thank you for stealing my information. We have new staff. That's one of them, Gabriel. But I have another announcement that you didn't mention, Patty, and that's Ruby Manduhano. She's part-time, and we're thrilled to have the 2 of them, longtime Salinas community members, working in our Salinas office permanently. Patty's thrilled about that. Yes, it's permanent because we needed to add support, and we found the funding moved things around to make a position and a half. So we're very happy to have both of them in Salinas. I think I mentioned at a previous board meeting, Mariah Hart, the interpreter specialist in communication, Federico, her name sign looks like a heart. One of our communication specialists will be leaving at the end of the month. We wish her the best in her next chapter of life. We are not appreciating that other people stole our interpreter, but we're happy for her. We're very happy for her. And interpreting contracts and things like that. Everything seems to be great. We're following all the requirements. But I do have two things that I need to notify you about.
We don't
One,
have any compliance issues at this time.
we don't have any compliance issues at this time. But I'm delighted because we just took in over $1,800 at the rummage sale. And one of our members sold online over $200, which made the total amount over $2,000. And that was, so if you find things at home, we're going to do it again this weekend. Bring it to DHHSC because this Saturday we'll sell those things and that'll help pay off the repairs and the remodel. We still have some more things we have to work on, the bathrooms and a number of other things. And those things and the costs pop up all the time, you know, and it's an old building. It's life. That is life. Now, the next point is the electrician has been stuck with us. The city of Fresno inspector looked over the place and said there were some things we needed to modify. We thought we were done, but no, then another problem popped up and then another problem. And we keep fixing thing after thing after thing. And the city inspector said yet more needed to be modified. So we are not officially finished. This electrician has been changing everything necessary and making any kind of repairs. If you look up and you see the light panels and you see a hand, it means they didn't approve of that one panel. They have to replace it. I feel so bad because the electrician's working for free because it's not part of the contract, because it's part of the Fresno City rules. So they have volunteered. Thank you very much, those who have volunteered and donated their time. I really appreciate it. By the way, Deaf Awareness Week was wonderful. It started September 13th, Friday, and moved and ended on September 21st, 22nd, somewhere in there. And I'm so delighted that the community came. They enjoyed themselves. And I thank those of you who showed up. And you know, December 3rd, the first Tuesday after Thanksgiving, it's going to be hashtag Giving Tuesday. Bring the hashtag Giving Tuesday campaign. We're going to have to see who brings in the most amount of money. We have a trophy for whoever's first or second among our staff who helps to bring in the most money. And you might want to do the same kind of thing and have bragging rights. So whoever wins will get to keep the trophy, and it'll go from winner to winner. It's a great fun competition. So please spread the word to donate money to DHHSC. We have 4 goals. First, to pay off the renovation. Second, to improve the bathrooms. The third one is to have more events and social times. Patty agrees, we need more. And the fourth is to have more money every year for events like Deaf History, Valley Deaf Festival, and that sort of thing. There's so much coming. There's a love something as well. And by the way, the Silent Sleigh is back at long last. Since before COVID, it's coming back, and we're having our first committee meeting tomorrow. I'm very excited. The kids love it, meeting a deaf Santa, seeing deaf Santa. We're hoping that we'll have a Santa who will come in from the community, and having everybody together again. It'll be wonderful. And then regarding Valley Deaf Festival, it's been moved back to the junior exhibit because of the cost. It's a building, I think it's a junior exhibit building, but that we had to go smaller because of the cost. And we're hoping the ticket sales will make up for that as even more. We're hoping lots of people will come. And we do need more sponsors. We need an art tree. Christian found an artist tree, and we'll bring we'll bring in magicians and performers and a Harry Potter theme to go with the idea of magicians. And we've mentioned food and community sharing, that they're sick of the same thing all the time, Mexican food. They want something different. So Mary, our staff in Visalia, is a wonderful cook, and she's going to make burgers, cheese sandwiches. Anna, thank you for joining the meeting and working so hard. The smells are going to make people buy food, those delicious aromas. So I know we have staff volunteering to help as needed, and y'all, the board, please help as well. That's our plan. Let me be certain I didn't forget anything. Are there any questions? And Jamie is asking, what happened in terms of break-in? When did it happen? How did it happen? Michelle is saying, I think it was about 2 weeks ago. First, I want to be open. I tend in the heat. I don't like heat, period. And I know if it's hot, I'll complain strongly. I come in and say, oh, it's too hot, it's too hot. And some of the staff are cold and they have to wear warm things because they're so cold. So I called the air conditioning company, and the guy said, everything's fine, everything's fine. You need curtains in your office. And I said, no, I've been here 16 years and I know there's something wrong with my office. So I asked my favorite technician to come out, a really cool guy, and he knows our office well. And he did thoroughly inspect, went up in the roof and found the problem and took pictures that someone had left a lighted cigarette up there and had started removing the screws and yanking parts off and destroyed it. And he saw that the pipe had been pulled at, and that's why it didn't work, because it had been destroyed, it had been ruined. So he came down and told me that that's what happened. I don't know if they got up by climbing a tree and then onto the roof, but my office has a wall, and it might be that they were able to climb up through up through level to level. The other one is possibly by the kitchen. Those two walls have places. You know how the paint is attached
Oh, we have the mural, where the mural is.
where the mural is. They might have climbed up because of some basic areas where they could, but it's hard to say. We don't have a security camera up there. And we have security cameras, but not angled in that direction. So we have no clue who it was. Luckily, we were able to we were able to notice right away, relatively quickly, because it's hot. So we noticed that the heat wasn't working. So we were able to fix it right away. But we will have to fence in or gate and lock the air conditioning unit so it doesn't happen again. It's a shame. It's just a shame. Don't mess with my air conditioning. Where DHHSC is located, we know that there have been some problems because the CTA, the California Teachers Association, had a similar situation where they stole theirs. We need to have more lights and gating or fencing around. People are struggling, and they're stealing to get money, I know. Jamie's saying, I think that they're also trying to get the wiring inside to get money. And Michelle is saying, yeah. Jamie, are you volunteering to go up on the roof and protect us? And Jamie's saying, no, thank you. Oh, come on, it's part of board service, says Michelle. Ha ha. And Michelle, Nicole might have something to say, says Steve, and Nicole does. This is a bit off the point, but Patty, said that there's new staff in Salinas. Last year, we were concerned about the office being so small with one room in Salinas. I'm wondering if it's the same office or a different one. And Michelle is saying, no, it's the same office. I have to see how they've arranged their sitting because it is just one room. It's the same one that the staff were in. Remember Wayne and Crystal? They were in that same office, the two of them. And now again, we have two people. So Nicole is saying, well, I haven't been there in a long time. I remember that there were two rooms prior to that in the other office prior to this one. Michelle says, well, this office has a community room right across the hall, and they can have meetings or events over there, which is great. And I think we're gonna use that at Christmas time. It's just right across the hall, really close. Nicole is saying, is it the same building or a different building? And Michelle is saying it's a different building. It's not the same building. And Michelle is saying they're different, the two buildings. Will you get it bigger? Nicole asks, will you get a bigger office because of the double staff? Michelle is saying, no, it'll be the same. We had two staff before, two staff members, and we have two now. We're going to stick with that. If anyone wants to share anything, I hope you'll do that here, because what I just thought of was Wayne's passing. You know that we recently had what you've said reminded me of this. There's two community members who have passed, and I want to share so that the board knows we truly care about those community members. One of them is Robin Shaw, an interpreter who's been around for 30 years. Gotta love her. She's just lovely. We all love her and are very, very heartbroken. We feel for her family. They are grieving, of course. And I don't know if there's something that we should do. We don't know what they're going to do. We want to honor Robin, but we don't know what the family's going to do. And the other one is Larry Shoemaker. And Larry was 104 years old, and he just passed, and his daughter has asked us to post something. People will look to Facebook and Instagram under our DHHSC posts. He's been a supporter for so many years, and he was 104 years old. Imagine the history. He came by train to Fresno every week for the senior citizen games on Thursday. They called him Deaf Dad. And we want to recognize Robin and Larry for their long time support. They supported as best they could. Nicole is saying, thank you for sharing that. And Steve is saying, thank you. Is there anything else, Michelle? Michelle's saying, nope, I'm good. Thank you. And we're going to change interpreters now. And Steve's saying, we're going to move on. Hold on one second.
All right. Any board comments? Anna? This is Anna. Patty mentioned in the chat. Oh, Patty, can you see me? Patty, okay. Do you mind going ahead and telling us what you found, what you had mentioned in the chat regarding the December minutes? Or do you want me to explain? Okay, Patty's gonna. Yes, last December, on the agenda, we had planned to vote for the members and for officers to extend their terms by 1 year, because we were working on that, on our membership. We hadn't yet finished with that. The agenda, we had planned to move and vote, but unfortunately, I'm so sorry, that is not actually in the minutes, what we had agreed on. So I'm not exactly sure how to remedy that. Do we need to vote again? Um, so that it is officially noted in the minutes? That is a critical aspect for our minutes. What happens on the board needs to match in the minutes. So we want to make sure that as we are applying for grants, the minutes are accurate as to what is actually happening on the board. So there's no discrepancies. And Steve Longo is saying, do what you can do and send us your findings, and we will make those necessary changes and we will provide those to all of the board members via email. We will vote and amend those minutes. And we will vote to amend and make those changes. And Patty is saying, thank you very much. Yes, Nicole has a question. And Nicole's saying, I think what Patty means is that we want to make sure that there's no discrepancies regarding our term, regarding the extension of our membership by 1 year. Michelle mentioned that United Way of Tulare will be assessing very closely our minutes to make sure that they are accurate. And so from my understanding, in the discussions that we've had, and Michelle, please feel free to add any information that you think is applicable, but we do need to make sure that the information is accurate. And we did vote last year, but we did not put that information in the minutes appropriately. So we did do the vote. It's just not in the minutes. So Patty, do you want to see if we need to vote again and put that in these minutes now regarding the 1 year extension that we voted on last year? And that way our terms as members and officers are extended and it is noted appropriately in the minutes that that's what we did, that we voted on it last year, and that is reflected accurately in the minutes. So that when we apply for the grant with United Way of Tulare, that information is correct. So we want to confirm that. Or what are we going to do? What is our what are we going to do? It's in our bylaws, so we need to make sure that that information is correct. And that's a very critical aspect to make sure that information is documented, that the motion is documented. And everything regarding the bylaws is okay. We have everything that we need noted in the minutes regarding the bylaws to provide evidence for what we've done. I hope that is clear. Anna has a question or a comment. Anna saying, I'm not exactly sure, but I've noticed that, and it's talking to Nicole, Patty did type in the chat and said that we already documented it. We did vote it, but we didn't put it in the minutes. So in the chat, Patty said we did it, but it was not accurately reflected in the minutes. So if we just edit the minutes, that should be fine. And Steve Longo is saying, yes, we just need to be sure we don't have to vote again. We just need to send the revised minutes to the board members to make sure that the amendment to the previous minutes is accurately reflecting what we did do in the meeting. Jamie has a question. Jamie, yes. Michelle says we don't need to vote again. We just need to rectify the information in the minutes. That's all. We just need to correct the minutes. And because they've already been passed. So they've already been voted on and approved and put into the record. So we need to amend the minutes so that they are in the record, so that the correction is in the record. We're not changing what happened at the last meeting. We're correcting the. Oh, and Nicole's saying thank you for that. I can't see everything that's going on in the chat. So my understanding is that, yes, we need to make sure that what happened in the meeting accurately is reflected in the minutes. And Michelle, that's correct. We don't need to do anything else. Just want to check with Michelle and make sure so that we're regarding our processes. Want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. And Michelle is saying, just please add that into the minutes tonight, that we recognized that we needed to rectify the December minutes. And so that we did vote in December and that we need to correct the December minutes to reflect the vote that happened in December. So if we can put that in the minutes for tonight, make sure that's reflected in the minutes for tonight. Okay, that's all I got for now. And Nicole is saying, thank you, Michelle, for that clarification. Can you type that in the chat so that Patty has a record of that? And Michelle is saying, I have completed that. And then the other thing, you've reviewed the information regarding our terms, and everything that we discussed regarding our terms is appropriate as it applies to any grants that we'll be applying for. Michelle's lights went off just like she said they would. Okay. She's got to go turn them back on. All right. See, I told you guys, I'm not running away. We just need to make sure that the minutes are being reviewed and compared, and that the information in the minutes is accurate. So you, as the board, need to make sure that what is actually in the minutes is accurate. And Steve is saying that Patty in new business needs to add those comments into the minutes to recognize the edits that need to be discussed from the December meeting. So that is something that we will add in new business. We want to officially recognize that the vote that happened in December. And we will amend those minutes. This is Nicole. Do we want Patty to put the minutes on the screen? And the consensus from the group is no, that we don't need that. It's not, the minutes are for board members only, and they are not for public consumption. Patty? One moment. Patty has a comment. Patty, go ahead. Oh, sorry. Oh, yes. Okay. I got confused. I thought you were wanting me. Okay. Yes, you're here. Okay. Yeah. Steve Long was saying for the new business. Patty, can you make a motion when it's time, when it's called for new business? Can you make a motion that we revise the minutes from the December meeting? One moment, please, for the interpreters.
The interpreting team wants to clarify. Patty, hold on for just a second. Patty, hold on. I'm sorry, I want to be certain that everyone has access to the same information. Remember, in the chat, some people can't read the chat, and Michelle said, Steve needs to make a statement during old business. And there's been a bit of overlap or a great deal of overlap in communication, so please continue the meeting, but I just wanted to indicate.
So Christian says, thank you, Rosemary, for that clarification. And
When
Christian,
do we vote? When do we vote to change the minutes?
when do we?
Did we need to vote for that? We need a motion. The now or later? Old business. Okay.
He's is saying it's old business.
Perfect.
That's an old business. And Christian's saying, okay, great, perfect, thank you. Because it's old business. Patty. And Patty's getting clarification. The motion, we have recognized the vote, right? That happened last year. I just want to double check because the minutes are inaccurate. So we're not voting to change. Steve Long is saying we are recognizing, well, we'll entertain a motion that the minutes need to be adjusted. We've done the vote already, but the minutes need to reflect accurately what happened in the meeting. And so there's information in the chat that is saying, Steve Long is saying, we're going to add a motion to approve the minutes that have passed. So we need to know what it is. We need to know what the motion is.
We're going to put in the minutes now that the minutes that this motion was passed.
Okay, so Patty's saying, so in these minutes, we're going to mention the old minutes. And we just leave the old minutes. And this month, these minutes for today, we need to add, Patty's trying to clarify what information needs to be added. The old business. So in old business, we passed the motion to extend the term. So in these minutes for tonight, we need to add a comment or a phrase in the minutes that reflects what actually happened in the previous meeting. Okay, Michelle typed December minutes. And Patty's typed December minutes already. So that was where the confusion was. Okay. And Nicole is something in the chat. Want to make sure that everyone's has access to the chat. Nicole does not have access to the chat. So can someone share? And Steve Longo is saying, we will
Share what's on the chat so that Nicole will know as well as everyone else, or anyone who doesn't read the chat carefully. Can somebody share that?
Okay, old business. We have 4 motions, and we're adding a 5th. To recognize what happened in previous meetings. So renewing the board's memberships terms, 2 board members, Nicole and Jamie, we move, and we want to recognize Jessica for her work on the board during her time on the board. And one moment, let us switch interpreters.
Thank you. Steve is saying old business is what we're on, and we're gonna let Patty make the motion that she's planning to make under old business. We noticed in the December 2023 minutes, everyone had voted for a year's extension of members and officers, 1-year extension. And that was passed by the majority. And we want to recognize that the December minutes did not include that important information that that motion had been passed. But it was passed by a majority vote. Steve saying, does anyone have a second for Patty's motion? Anna is seconding, and Jamie is seconding. Is there any discussion, Steve's asking? Oh, and Nicole seconded as well. Is there any discussion to Patty's motion? There's no discussion, no. Then let's ask that the motion be on the floor, which means we'll call for the question, which means the motion is ready to be voted on. Those of you who approve of that motion, raise your hands, please. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, it's unanimous. All 5 board members have voted in support of that motion, and it passes. Okay, so that completes old business. But first, I see Nicole has something to say. I just want to double check to be certain that everything is in fact aligned, that there's nothing else that needs to be added. And Michelle is saying it's good, and everybody else says, okay. So Nicole is saying, great, that was quick work. Steve is saying now, Steve Longo is saying, I need someone to move that we close old business to move into new business. And Jamie has raised her hand. Jamie, Jamie says, I move that we close old business. And Steve Longo is saying, is there anyone opposed? And there is nothing happening out there, which means we close old business. Thank you very much, Jamie. And Jamie says, my pleasure. Now, Steve Longo is saying, new business is our next topic. There are 4 topics. There are 4 motions. Is there anyone willing to make the motion about renewing two terms for 2 officers, terms for 2 officers? One is Nicole's and the other is Jamie, to renew their terms. Does anyone want to make that motion? Anyone want to move that we, Patty? And Jamie's saying, what did they say? Patty, did you want to? Jamie said, I move that I remain a member. Steve Longo says it's better if somebody makes the motion for both positions, both Nicole's and Jamie's. Okay, so what's standing now is what Jamie proposed, that Nicole and Jamie renew their member term, a second term. Okay? Any second for that motion? Christian, Patty, they both seconded. Okay. And now any discussion? Seeing none, Patty says that looks good. No discussion. Seeing none, Then let's vote on the motion that Jamie put forth, that Nicole and Jamie's positions as members be renewed for a second term, starting now and moving and henceforth. Anyone want to have any votes or discussion, or wait, I'm confused. 1, 2, okay, these are the members. For them, membership to be renewed has passed. And congratulations to Nicole and Jamie for a second term. And it starts now. Yay. The second motion that someone needs to nominate Nicole to renew her position as vice president for this next term. Anyone want to recommend Nicole and nominate? And Patty says, I do. I nominate her. Patty has moved to renew Nicole's vice presidency term. Anyone seconding that? Christian is saying, yes, I second that. Is there any discussion, says Steve Longo. Seeing none, I'll call for the question. How do you vote on the motion to renew Nicole's vice president's term? That's what's on the floor. Raise your hands to pass the motion. Raise your hands to pass the motion. Okay, great. The motion passes. Congratulations, Nicole. You will be with us for a second term as vice president. You have been elected for that term. Next, the third motion. Would someone like to move to recognize Jessica for her work in her, and as a, in her term on the board? Anyone? Nicole and Patty apparently is going to do the second. Okay, great. Nicole says, may I clarify? Did you want to nominate? Nicole says, I want to clarify. Can you repeat what it is to recognize her work? Steve Longo says, yes, to recognize her work. Nicole says, well, then I would be happy to second that. That was your motion. Oh, okay. So instead, you'll call it your motion and Patty will be the second. That's how the offers came in. So that's what's on the floor. Is there any discussion? I open discussion. Seeing none. Oh, wait. Jamie has a question. Oh, Nicole? No, forget it. Somebody said, forget it, forget it. No discussion, says Steve Longo. Okay, thank you, Nicole. Now we're going to call for the question. The motion stands to recognize Jessica for her work on the DHHSC board for her term. Does anyone want to vote in favor? Raise your hand. Okay. The motion passes. We'll figure out how we will do that recognition. A letter, an email, we'll figure that out later. Okay. The fourth point, the fourth motion. I'm trying to remember. There were so many. Do you know what the fourth one was? Patty says the amendment to the bylaws. Thank you, Patty, says Steve Longo. Oh my goodness. That was an important one. Oh no, let me show you the amendment to the bylaws, see what it looked like before and after, and then we can read that and discuss that. Nicole? After you've shown those two, do you mind signing them for me because I'm not able to see it on the screen. Of course, says Steve, I will do that. It's a very short blurb. Thank you for pointing that out, Nicole. Here we go. Okay, I found one. Oh, I found both of them. Okay. So I'm getting ready to show them. Okay. Maybe I'll sign them and that's easier for all of you. There's two of them. The old one will be the first one and the second one will be the revised one. So I'll do the old one before I do the revised one. Under Article 13, amendment of the bylaws, that paragraph says, oh, it is section 13.01 amendment. It says the bylaws may be amended or eliminated in toto and or new bylaws can be exchanged by a majority vote by the board of directors, by board members who are in office at the time. That's the first paragraph. The changed one is, I will sign that next. It's the same blurb. Section 13 amendments. The bylaws may be amended or suspended or
Repealed?
in total, as long as that change is voted by a majority of the board. People who are in of the board, in the members who are in office. That's what we've already passed in October of 2023. Okay, Patty? Patty says the minutes from October 2023 say we can pass it with 2/3 vote. But what you just, our bylaws say majority, right? You're right, Steve says, Patty, yeah. Remember we voted and 2/3 people, we thought 2/3 was fine. And we sent it and the lawyer noticed that it was not that, it was majority because the legal term is unambiguous. They don't want to change it. So we had to put in majority. They didn't want a mix-up. They wanted to keep majority. And Patty said, okay, great. Steve says, thank you for bringing that up. And now we can tell you the reason. Yes. Thank you for that. And Nicole, would you explain precisely why that change from the old to the new came about? The prior discussion had said it was to meet the year's extension, but when you look at these two, They're almost the same. So what was the rationale for the first being adjusted to the second? Why were those changes recommended? Steve said, thank you, Nicole. I think it's important that you understand that we had a training, let's see, in September 2023, I think. At that time, Mark Apodaca came and explained a number of things related to the bylaws. And we noticed, or should I say, Mark noticed that there were illegal things like the extension of the term. It didn't say anything about suspension or suspending the bylaws, that we would be allowed to suspend the bylaws to extend for 1 year. We can. So they brought that up, and that's where we were discussing and deciding at the October board meeting and passed that motion. We did already do that, and we added the term suspension or exception. The interpreter's not sure which. And so then the board can extend if necessary. Does that clarify for you, Nicole? Nicole has her hand up. Yes, that clarifies it. I do have two concerns. Going forward, how will the board be certain that these things are not used consistently, that we do exceptions or suspensions or, extensions? We don't want to take advantage and do it overly as a common habit. Maybe there should be some protection for the future. I want us to think about our responsibility as board members to follow and protect DHHSC. And when we have finished, I want to be sure that Michelle feels good about it, feels completely satisfied in terms of grant expectations and demands, and to be sure that we follow proper procedures and protocols. Steve says, yeah, I've thought about that. One thing is that we should require that anytime we want to suspend a portion of the bylaws, that we have to put the date of the start and end of that period of suspension or exception. And we can't just keep doing it forever. It has to be clarified in the bylaws. We don't have to write it over and over again. But when we suspend, it'll be with a time limit, a specific time frame, or extending whatever. Whatever you say, we have to put in a time limit for that exception or that plan. Once the time has ended, then it's over. There is no opportunity to do that same thing again, and the bylaws remain as they were. So each suggestion or motion will follow that protocol, and therefore board members will not be able to take advantage in a negative way or in an inappropriate way and extend things forever. So we will put that down as part of our process, and we'll leave the bylaws frozen, but the procedures can be modified slightly or greatly at certain times. Michelle? Oh, Nicole. I want to be sure that I'm clear. I want to be sure that it's all good with Michelle. And are there any things we should change or modify for, or eliminate even for the grant applications and that kind of thing? I want to be sure it's a good match. Steve Longo says, remember the bylaws of the organization have the word suspend in them. That's why Mark was puzzled that we didn't have that in the bylaws. And so we went ahead and put it in there, but it wasn't in the first place. So we started with that recommendation from Mark. Okay, are we good? All right, thank you. Patty has her hand up. Who will make the motion? Patty? Patty said, I'd like to comment. I've been concerned about, let me think. I understand why we decided a year ago to do this, but it seems like in general, we can, next year, if we're getting close, we can vote to extend again. But I feel like maybe a better protection would be by having the bylaws set up to honor terms with year limits already there, to honor those time limits, and to prevent misusing power. Which could be used to bend things in whatever way people want to. I want to encourage a limit, establishing a limit. For example, something very specific, like if in the future we wish to extend by a year, one time, 1 year, and for a specific reason, maybe there aren't enough members as required by law. I think I remember that there was a warning about this, but maybe we could discuss the reasons that would be appropriate in the future, and maybe we need to do it again. And I wonder if I should propose that, or Steve Longo says, I think it's important that we recognize that we do this rarely, either suspension or extension. This is the first time we've done it, and it may be the last time. It may never happen again. But we want to put down in the policy and procedures, not in the bylaws, in terms of the time limits. We can put that in our policies and procedures so people can read that, and that way new board members will know that there is a time limit and they have to have a reason, and that it has to be passed by a majority vote, all of those things. That they have to have a good reason. If it doesn't meet those criteria, then it should not be considered. We already, Nicole and I have already continued for a year, so to extend, we don't have to put that down again. So does that make sense, Nicole? Nicole is saying, I agree with Patty. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. We won't always be here. And we never know if people in the future look and they don't understand the limits. Right now, it doesn't say anything about limits. It just says with a majority vote, and that's it. I think Patty means to add a little bit more protection so that DHHSC, that it reflects what the board really wants to communicate and what we want people to follow. I think if we're applying for grants and they look at the rules, we want to be certain that we're following those rules. I remember last year during the training when Mark said that board members have the right to add language and can propose added language. And that's where I see Patty trying to add language in the bylaws, not in the proceedings, protocols and all that of the board, but in the bylaws so that it's stronger. And then we can determine what phrases we might want to put in there, like Patty said recently, like having a second edition that becomes stronger. Thank you for this clarification, says Steve Longo. I've seen other bylaws, I've worked in other organizations, and they're almost all the same. The issues are no different, but it's a good idea to put in protective safeguards how, in terms of how the board proceeds in the bylaws, but the bylaws are frozen. They stay the same. It's much easier to change our procedures. The policies and procedures can be changed much more flexibly. It's the same idea as the Constitution. We don't change that, but the policies can be changed. So whatever you want to add, put in the policies. It's a lot easier to modify that, Patty. I just read them, Patty says, the bylaws again. And they say, we have an advisor. Our advisor is on the board is Michelle. Yeehaw. And Michelle just typed in the chat saying thank you for this discussion, because Michelle knows the community has said they feel like the board, I don't know, has taken advantage or abused their power. So that made me think, should we add more limits that people, so that people can't take advantage in the future? Maybe the community will see that and feel more relieved and stronger and trust us. But it would also protect the board ourselves as well. But we see, if they see people taking advantage, or if we do, we can say, oh, look, this is not allowed. Steve is saying, I think we can't talk about this at length because we're focused on new business. So in the discussion about this motion, we can do that at another time. And you can make those modifications at another time. But right now, the motion is to recognize the bylaws that apply, that are standing right now. Michelle has, for funding reasons, she has to watch the amendments. And then later we can discuss in more depth. Is that okay with you? There's 15 minutes left. So excuse us, but the interpreters are going to switch right now. Thank you.
Okay. Steve Longo is moving. Nicole, do you have to make a motion regarding the bylaws as they're read? And Jamie said that we have 15 minutes left. All right. And Steve Longo is asking for a motion. Can I please get a motion regarding these bylaws? Ms. Nicole, I would like to, before we make this motion, I would like to inform the board that you have the right to add and to discuss we want you to be aware that if you are not comfortable with this, you have the right to dissent during your vote. And we can have more discussion with Michelle to make sure that what we are doing is appropriate before, to make sure that everyone is comfortable with this. This is Michelle. So for now, we've gotten what we need. We have that terminology. We needed to add that little bit there. And so for what has been mentioned tonight, that meets our needs. That checks off the list of what we need. So at this point, what you have seen, there is discussion if there needs to be more clarification. We don't want you all to be confused regarding what you can and can't do. We can have some more training because it is actually a very complicated process. So I would recommend that we have a little bit more board training so that the board is clear about what is going on. And Steve Longo is saying that regarding new business, this is the motion regarding new business. And Nicole is clarifying with Michelle. So right now, what we have is okay for our funders and for our grants. Want to make sure that we feel comfortable with the discussion and that it is not going to negatively affect your funders. And Michelle is saying, you all might need to discuss more if you have concerns. Yes. And we don't need to hurry to vote. We can have more time to discuss and think about it if we need to. Thank you, Nicole. So we have a motion regarding the bylaws. Is there a motion regarding the bylaws? I will entertain a motion. And Patty is saying, just for clarity, we're voting. Steve is saying we're voting on the bylaws right now. Section 13.1. This is the vote right now. So we've had some discussion and we need to recognize these changes in the bylaws. That's what we need to do. We need to vote to approve them. And Jamie is saying, I vote to approve the bylaw, or I move. Okay. So Steve's saying, you need to move. We need to make a motion. The motion needs to be recognized. And then, okay, so Jamie is making the motion to approve these changes to the bylaws. Okay, so Patty's saying, what we thought it was a 2/3 vote, and now we changed to a majority. It really looks the same, so I'm a little confused about that. And Steve is saying, yes, it looks very, very similar, but from a legal standpoint, that was their terminology. The legal advisor that we had said that change needed to be made to accommodate the legal aspect. So we had the 2/3 vote and they took that out and they just said keep it as a majority, a simple majority. And so that was the clarification we needed. So, okay. We move. Jamie makes a motion that the board recognizes the bylaw changes as they are currently stand now. Patty is seconding that. Okay. And now, any more discussion? Okay. Nicole? I'm dissenting. I would like more discussion because this is not impacting our funding. So it seems that if we have a vote now, we would need more discussion. So that is my perspective. More discussion, Anna? Anna's saying we just received we have 8 minutes left for this meeting. And I'm not sure we have time for more discussion. The discussion might be a bit rushed. And Steve is saying we do have a last motion that we 3. Okay, any opposed? Who is opposed? Okay, so majority vote. It's passed. It passes by wait, one moment. Wait, hold on. What are the numbers? Was it 2 and 2? Clarifying for the interpreters. We saw 2 hands for, and 2 against. So the vote, what is the vote? We're going to call for the question. So who wants to recognize the bylaws as they stand now? Please raise your hand in support who is agreeing with this motion. Who is in favor? 1, 2, 3. Chris, okay. Thank you for clarifying. Okay, we have 3 in favor. Who is opposed? Any opposed to this motion? Okay. 1, 2. 2 opposed. Okay, we have 3 in favor, 2 opposed. So it does pass by majority vote. Thank you. Sis Patty, I apologize. There is confusion on my part. I feel as if one person is not clear, and that's why we should have held it. I thought we were holding it. So, and Steve is saying the motion has already been voted, has been brought to the floor. It has passed, and we can call an ad hoc meeting to discuss any changes that need to be made to have further discussion about this. But we are good for right now. And Jamie, there's a warning of 5 minutes. We have a 5-minute warning. Okay. Okay, our time is quickly running out. We'll try to wrap this up very quickly. Any motion to close new business? I will entertain a motion to close new business. Anna has a motion to close new business. Jamie seconds that motion to close new business. Any opposed? Closing new business? Okay, new business is closed. Moving on in the agenda. Are there any announcements in the last couple of minutes that we have? Nicole says, want to remind everyone, we want to honor the community members. We want to recognize Robin Shaw as the interpreter in the community for many years, and Larry Shoemaker, a community member for many years as well. We want to recognize those. His daughter was at Berkeley School or Boston School and is a teacher. And Larry and Christian knew each other. Steve saying my father was at Berkeley, and so that's how we knew Larry. They're a very nice family. He was a great person. So yes, we want to honor them. Anything else? Any other? All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Jamie has a motion to close the meeting. Second. Patty and Anna, both second. Any opposed? All right. And we will adjourn the meeting at 7:59. All right. Good night, everyone.